Hello and welcome. So, today we're going to look at events, so actually how to call our event through our dialog system. But first up, we have to go into our basic node, and I was pointing out that I had a spelling error, so let's fix that, because it's supposed to be default node size, not size, um, yeah, so size, as in how big and small it is. So let's just say that, and we have fixed one of our spelling errors. So thank you for pointing that out. Alrighty, so let's collapse this one here and make a new folder that we're going to call events. So events. And inside events, we're going to make another script called game events. Game events. This one is the one that's going to contain all our game events. And we will now make one of our events. And that will simply just be random colors. The event we will be making is just to change the color on our player character. So whenever we click on that, it will simply just change the color on the player character. And then we are going to actually make the scriptable object that we will throw into our dialog editor. And let's see what we'll call that. We're just gonna call it event. If I could spell it, event, and then call it random. Random. If I could spell, that would be nice. There we go. Random colors. I should probably name it a little better, but let's just go with this for now. So let me just quickly open my notes. So in the beginning, we can simply get rid of all this. And the event here we want it to be possible to call this event from a script, meaning we will make a singleton. However, we don't want this specific script to load on each. We don't want it to we don't want to keep it when we change scenes, simply because when we change scene, we don't want it to keep all the events that it had from the last scene. Oh, we need to make something called an action, and the action has the ability to you have the ability to put a lot of methods inside of it, so you can kind of subscribe a method to it, meaning whenever you call this action, you will actually call the method itself. So we can, from other scripts, go in and let's just call it color model, because it's the model we are going to color. This way we can call upon the random color. Oh, should probably also spell it correctly. Alright, I hope that makes a little sense. So we're going to make a public static game event. We're simply going to call instant. And this is of course a set and a private, a get and a private set. There we go. And we of course also going to, just gonna delete that for a second. And there we go. And this is of course an event, so we are going to add the event in front of it. And we also want in awake to simply say instant equals this. The reason why we are making it this way is because we are in Unity, meaning when we go out here into our scene, we have something called event system. I'm just gonna throw it on that one, meaning that it already exists. So if you did normal, if you did it like in other editors or other game engines, the script might not exist already, but because Unity works it with that, when you throw a script out here, it exists in the scene already, so it has already been loaded in. Meaning when we go, oh, if I could open the right one, meaning that we were simply telling it that the one that has already been made, we simply want that to be the instance of the game events. Then we are going to make something called random color model. And in here, we're simply going to call upon our random dot, and then we're gonna call invoke. So that invoke is something you can do with actions, meaning that it should run all the methods inside of it. However, we also need to add a question mark here. Simply just this question mark here is a C# function that will literally ask it, does I have anything inside of me? If I don't, well, don't try to invoke me. So it is pretty much the same as going random if not null. So this entire question mark right here is the same as this entire line. So we can cut down our little on our writing ability. Alright, let's save this one. Let's just make sure that we have pinged it, or what is it called? Yeah, pinged. I toggled it. Oh, that's the wrong one. Alright. So let's go into random colors. Random colors is the one that's going to be on the model itself. So we need to get our hands on all the what's it called, materials. Sorry, materials. So we're going to make a list of materials. If I'm spelling that wrong again, yes I am. Just gonna call that materials equals new list of materials. And in awake, we simply wanted to look for all the skin mesh, and we want that to be returned as an array. And simply calls, and let's just call it skin mesh renderers equals get components. And we want it, as you can see right here, the small s here means that it would look for multiple version of the skin mesh renderers. So if we remove that, it will simply only find one, but if we add the s, it will find everyone inside the child. So let's just go into our scene. Oh, I'm opening the wrong one all the time right now. It's because we have our player right here, so you can see that the player model have two skin mesh renderers. It has one for the blue parts and one for the black parts. So we're simply just asking it to go in and find all of them. So we just gonna drag this one over here. Wonderful. So it will go in and get all of them. Here we need just the materials for it. So we will be going for each skin mesh renderer, and I'm just gonna go SMR. That's the short version of it. And then I'm gonna go for each again. Each SMR dot materials. So we're gonna go through all the materials. That would just gonna be material. And the short one for material is MAT. And we will then go material dot add material. Meaning we will then go through all our skin meshes, go through all of their materials, and add them to our list. So this way that we can find all the materials. And next up, we of course want to make the method that can actually change the color. So we are just gonna call it do random color model. And in here, we are gonna go for each material in material. Just gonna call it MAT again. Let's just call it material right here. So we're gonna call material dot color is now equals a new color. Alright, so let's just make it a random color. So we're gonna go random dot range and that is gonna be from 0. And we're gonna add a f to make sure that it understands that it is a float. And we need to do this 3 times. We could do it a 4th time, but then it will go into the alpha itself, and we don't want that. So it will take a random blue, yellow, and red color, and then we will get a random color. We of course also need to actually add this specific one to the game events. So we're gonna go start. I could spell. So instead, we are gonna go game event dot instant dot random color, and we're gonna add that event. So do random, and as you can see right here, we didn't add the parameter because when adding an event, you're not supposed to add the parameter. Yes, I hope that at least that makes sense. Alright, so that means this one has now been subscribed. However, we also need to make sure that when we actually destroy it, that we actually unsubscribe this one. Because if we don't unsubscribe from our event, then it will still try to call this specific function on the destroyed object. So let's say if your player dies, and let's say if enemy, if you have this on an enemy and the enemy dies, it will still try to change its color when you try to do it. However, it cannot find the enemy because you have destroyed it, so you will get an error. So this way we're going to say when you are destroying the object, you will then remove the method to actually color it from the game events. I hope that made a little sense. It could also, if you get problems with this, it could also be that you need to go on disable. So that is another place you might want to put it. If this one gives you errors, you could also put it on here. For now, I'm just not gonna do that. So we're gonna save this. So let's go out and make the last one. Where is it? So let's go into random event and delete everything here. And here we need to actually inherit from dialog event OS. And we're just gonna right click that and go to definition, because this one up here, we need to copy that, because this one here, we don't need that anymore. And we're gonna go back and we're gonna add this one in here. And we're just gonna call it new color event. The reason why I removed it from the other one is that it is an empty event and it don't really make sense to have an empty event. So we are gonna override the run event. If we keep this one, we will still run the base version of the run event. So if we go to that one, it will say event was called. So let's just keep it for now so you can see it. So now we wanna call event dot instant dot call random color event, eller random column model. So let's save this and open up. Oh, I'm keeping open the wrong one. Alright, so let's make one event. So we're gonna create dialog and add a new color event. We're just gonna call this color player. We have added the game event and we have added the random color. Good. So that means we just need to open up our dialog event here. And let's actually remove this part and add a repeat node instead. So repeat, add this one in here, drag our color player, and simply call this color me, and save. And let's run the game. So when we go here, click and add color me, you can see, each time we click, it will give us a random color. As you can see down here, it says event was called. So if we double click on this one, we can go in here. As you can see, this is the base event. So if we go into random event color here and remove that, the base, let me just see, the base event, the base run event, and go back in here. When we then run it, it should no longer call that. Alright, as you can see, it now colors me. Wonderful. Alright, so let's just do one more thing. So what if that you actually want the color event to actually have a parameter? Well, then we actually need to go into our game event and go. Sorry about that, my microphone just decided that it wanted to die. Luckily for me, it makes a sound when it does it. So we're gonna go int here. Yeah, we're just gonna use the int. That means we also need to go int here. And that means we also need a int here and go number. I'll simply add a number in. That means that it will now take in a number each time. So we need to go into a random color event, as you can see right here. That means we need to actually make a serialized field and give it a number. So we are gonna add that number in. And into random color events, as you can see, those here are now giving an error. Let me just quickly look at my notes, because this one down here now needs to take in an integer. Alright, because when you're adding this specific method to it, it needs to be the same as the action. So if the action requires an int, the method you are adding also requires an int. Meaning you can create multiple different versions of method as long as they just have one int in their parameter that can be added to the event without any problems. So let's go into here and say it would only run if, oh no, let's go up here. Now we're gonna make a serialized field. Let's just make it a private because no other scripts needs to see it. So private int my number. So if my number equals underscore number. And let's just move this one here and go. Alright, so now we have done so that we can add a number to our characters, and if the character lines up with the number, it will then color that character. So, alright, let's just load it. So let's see here. So the color player will now have a number, so we can go 1. And we can click on the player, and that has number 0. So that means if we run the event and go over, speak and color, nothing happens. If we then however change this to 1, it will then start changing the color. That means that we can, let's add another function. And let's add event. Let's have a repeat node. Then call it color NPC. Save that. And add a new event. I'm just gonna call it color NPC. And add a 2. So this has a 1 and this has a 2. Wonderful. So we're gonna drag this one in here. And see, the player should have a 1, and the NPC, we can now drag the color script onto this one and simply say you should have a 2. And let's save this and run it. So now we should be able to use the same event for calling the player and calling the NPC. So this is one way of doing the events. Of course, as you can see, if you want to be able to have to color multiple characters, this specific one here could end up filling a lot. So if you want to color like 100 different characters, it's probably better just to make another event node where you can set the number in here instead of having to add the event itself. However, by running events like this, you can run more customized events a lot easier without needing to change the node system itself. So it's pretty much up to you what your needs are. If your needs is, of course, just that you need different events all the time, this is definitely the way to go. However, if you just need 2 types of events that needs to be called hundreds of times, then you should probably make a node for doing that specific job. So let's just save this up, and that should be it for our event nodes. And I think that our next episode will be about cleaning up the code and adding comments everywhere. So that is it for this time. Thank you for watching.